Hi, welcome to Roger's Off-Grid Adventures. In this video, we're going to talk about the summer of 2024. If you watched the last video, you probably already know that I spent a good chunk of 2024, at least the winter, spring, and summer, building a mobile sauna. We're going to let this little montage here cover that event. If you want to see more, you can go look at that other video. At any rate, here's the summer of 2024. We'll start on Memorial Day weekend. The leaves were starting to green up, the weather was nice, and the load restrictions were taken off the roads. So I got 22 yards of gravel delivered, which was way more than I needed, but I knew I could use it eventually, so 22 yards it was. I spent the next month moving that gravel by hand. Well, mostly by hand. I shoveled it off the pile into the mule, and then out of the mule into the trail, and then spread it with the rake. Did I mention my tractor is broken? Sure would be nice to be able to use that to move gravel. By the end of June, things were settling down and I was starting to have to cut grass. What a fool. I converted my little section of woods into the burbs. Utah, on the other hand, was honing his hunting skills on rodents. In July, I fired up the sawmill and milled some spruce from my neighbor's yard and some mountain ash from my yard in the cities. I also acquired a 200 amp hour battery and installed that in the cabin. That doubled my storage capacity. Much to my chagrin, by the end of July, my favorite maple tree started changing colors. I was not impressed. The flowers were nice though. In August, Willie showed up to help me take down some trees that were putting shade on the solar panels. He took down somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 trees and left me with a pile of firewood and saw logs. Somewhere along the line, we made our way to the Pasties shop in Wawabic and took home some breakfast pasties. I baked them over the fire. They turned out nice, but that was an interesting experience. And then, Ma Nature decided to put on a show. The Aurora showed up in its full beauty. These first few pictures were taken from my camp, and this last one was taken from the Skibo lookout. On the horizon to the left is White Lakes and, appropriately, Aurora. Getting back to less ethereal subjects, it didn't take long and I realized that I had too much grass to cut using a push mower. So by the end of August, I had acquired a second-hand lawn tractor. That was nice. Also by the end of August, the sauna was on site. But that, as you heard earlier, is the subject of the previous video. So, that's the summer of 2024. We'll start the next video in September and talk about the fall. Thanks for watching. Over and out.